who knows what will end up today. But I'm gonna get this workout on and yeah, see what today brings. So again, hopefully you enjoyed it. I'm Matty Ice. Peace out. What's up, guys? It's day 2 of our Las Vegas trip. We just got to the MGM Grand. It's only a 1-2 game, $100 minimum buy-in, but get this, there's no max. So sky's the limit. I mean, depending on who's on the table, could get interesting. Stay tuned to see what happens. Hopefully we run it up, and let's get it. We look around the table, and the biggest chip stack is around $350, maybe $375. So we buy in for $400, and we take our seat. The very first hand we're dealt in, we have 9-10 of diamonds in the cutoff. There's one limper to us, and going from 5-10 last night to now 1-2, the bet sizing, I'm still trying to get used to them. So we raised to 10. Not sure if that's correct, but it is what it is. We raised to 10. The small blind makes the call and the limper folds, so heads up to a flop. And the flop is 9 of spades, 2 of spades, 8 of hearts. So we have top pair. The small blind checks. I c-bet as I would most boards, but I c-bet only $10. He calls. The turn is another 2. It's a 2 of hearts. He checks again. I make it a little bigger this time and make it 20. He calls. The river is a 10 of spades. So we get a bigger 2 pair, but the obvious front door flush does get there. And before I can do anything, he leads for 35. And in past experience, at 1-2 stakes, people aren't usually bluffing on the river. But it's early, I don't know what the dynamics are, so I kind of just want to see his cards. And it's not that big of a bet, to be honest. So I make the call, and sure enough, he does have a flush. But he has ace queen, so I was super surprised, to be honest, because you should be 3-betting that, sir, in the small blind. Super nice hand and out of position, but again, it's 1-2, so we're going to strap in and get ready for some weirdness today. This next hand, we have queen jack of hearts in the small blind. There's a few limpers to me. I make it 15. And only the button makes the call. He only has about 100 left in his stack, so the SPR is not really that big, but it's okay. The flop is ace of spades, queen of spades, 4 diamonds, so I flop middle pair. And on any ace high board, I'm going to c-bet as the pre-flop aggressor. So I make it 10, don't have to go too big, because again, he only has $100 in his stack, and if he has an ace, he's not folding no matter what ace he has. So I make it 10. and all that nerd stuff doesn't really apply because he folds right away, and we show a queen, just kind of indicating to the table, maybe help my image that if I have something, then I'm gonna bet. But we all know that's not always the case. So if you guys can't already tell by the first two hands, this table is probably one of the tightest tables I've ever been on. But it's good. I'm the aggressor. I get to control the size of the pot. I can control the flow of the game. And I can bet, get some folds, or I can bet and really see where I stand with not having to risk too much. So it's not bad. Something I noticed, even being at the table for only about 30 minutes, is the guy on my left sits back in his seat before he gets his cards. And if he likes them, he sits up and prompts himself up like he's ready to go. So I can kind of tell if he wants to get involved even before he makes his decision. So for those of you who are looking to get into poker, it's really beneficial to just pay attention to your surroundings, no matter what stake you're playing. Pay attention to your surroundings, who you're playing against, age, what they're wearing, how they play with their chips, how they stack their chips, if they talk, if they don't talk. I mean, a lot goes into it than just the cards and throwing out money here and there. At this point, we're straddling every orbit under the gun, even on the button. So this hand is no different. I straddle 5, and I think the guy to my left is kind of sick of it because he double straddles to 10. So there's 2 limpers to us, and we have 4 or 5 of hearts. So my aggressive image, we're definitely going to raise this. So we go 35. The double straddle calls, and the big blind calls. So 105 in the middle, 3 ways to a flop. And it's amazing. It's 5-2-5 rainbow. So I'm looking at these guys' stacks. I'm trying to get it all. The double straddle has about 300, and the big blind has 150. When the big blind checks to me, I make it super small. I go 20. And nobody at this point should think I have a 5 here. There's just no way. And even getting 6-1 on a call, to my surprise, the double straddle folds. And I'm like, wow. Like, with any 2 cards, you should be calling this. Like, this table is that tight. It's amazing. Like, it's, I don't know. I don't get it. So he folds, but the big blind calls, so luckily we get some action. Heads up to a turn. The turn is an 8 of clubs. He checks. I make it small again, less than a third pot, make it 45. But unfortunately, no more action for us. He folds. Moving on to this hand, we finally get a premium. We have ace king of hearts in the big blind. The under the gun to my left makes it 12. Folds around to me. I make it 60. And he 4-bets to 160. This is the most aggressive I've seen anybody else play besides me to this point. And he has about 150 behind the 160 raise. So I'm thinking, I'm blocking aces or kings. If he's got it, he's got it. He's gonna have to show me. So I jam, and he does snap call. He doesn't show his cards, but I'm thinking in my head, he does have aces or kings. So gonna need a lot of help, some hearts or runner for straight. But the board comes out 10 high, then the turn is a 3, river's a 3, and I say a pair's good, and he said no pair, so I flip over my cards thinking I win or I chop with ace king, but no, he has ace queen of clubs, and he has the nut flush. I'm like, wow, we're probably in the best case scenario for a $600 pot plus pot, and we couldn't hold up against ace queen. Got a top off, so we add 300 to our stack, and we're in for 700 at this point. An orbit later, we straddle, shocker, under the gun to 5. The guy that we just doubled up to our left double straddles to 10, and we have king 10 of diamonds. The middle position makes it 15, which I guess he's kind of confused because he thought it was the initial raise. But the dealer informs him that his has to be a raise because it was a straddle pot. So he obliges and puts in the extra $5 to make it 20, a min raise. And when it folds to me, knowing that information that he just wanted to call, I make it 65. The double straddle folds and the middle position folds. So again, knowing your surroundings and just being aware can be beneficial. Strap in for this next hand because it's a good one. We're in the under the gun straddle for 5 again. The under the gun 1 limps for 5, folds around to me. We look down at pocket jacks. 5 is not enough, so we bump it up and make it 25. Under the gun 1 makes the call, so we're heads up to a flop. And the flop is king jack 9 with 2 diamonds. So we flop middle set on a super wet and dynamic board. Flush draws, straights, 2 pair combinations. So a lot of things to get value from. We down bet to 20. And as expected, he makes the call. The turn is a 3 of diamonds, so brings in the front door flush, but can't really be scared for monsters under the rug, so we decide to keep betting, this time for 35. And the way he shuffles his chips and the way he's kind of thinking, I'm suspecting that I'm already behind, either by a small flush, if not the nut flush. So when he calls, I'm hoping and praying for the board to pair. And it does. The river's a 9 of diamonds. So we have jacks full, but there's 4 diamonds on the board. So if he did have a smaller flush, I'm probably not going to get as much value as I should. If he has the nut flush, I mean, we're going to get it in. I have about 250, maybe 260 left in my stack, and he has me covered just barely. So I think about it, and I overbet, shove for my $260, and we don't get snap called, which kind of is unfortunate. If he had a smaller full house, he's going to snap call. If he had the nut flush, ace of diamonds, he would probably snap call as well. But right away, he's not happy. Takes about a minute, thinks of his options, talks it out. And unfortunately, we don't get any value with our jacks full. But when he folds, I happily show my hand because at the MGM, there is a high hand promotion for the hour. It's 10s full or higher. 10s full or higher qualifies for the high hand promotion. So we barely got it, and we just hit this hand about 5 minutes after the hour. So we're gonna have to wait another 55 minutes to see if we get the $200 bonus for this high hand promotion. I figured once you call on the turn, but I wish I had the set, so.
High hand on 7.
I was ready. I was waiting.
But if I check, you're checking back, so.
Jack's full of 9.
The river without a pair?
No, you with the
Seat
flush.
number 7.
Right, well,
With
I'm saying,
if it doesn't pair, yeah.
Yeah,
I check and you bet I fold. But since it paired board, then I check, you check back.
all right.
I was kind of hoping you had the ace. You already had the nuts, but.
Yeah.
For this hand, we're in the button straddle this time. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with how the button straddle works. Every casino is different, but at the MGM, it starts under the gun and goes around. And if the action changes, like if somebody raises, then it's on me and it goes in order. But if the action doesn't change, it skips me, kind of does like a hop over me, then the small blind, then the big blind, and then back to me. So if the action doesn't change, then I get last act. And other casinos, it starts off with a small blind, then just goes around as normal. So folds around to the cutoff, he makes it 12. Since the action changed, it's on me now. I complete, put in 7 more, and the small blind calls as well. So 3 ways to a flop in position. The flop comes king, 2, 3 with 2 hearts. So only 1 card higher than our pair. The small blind checks, the cutoff, the initial raiser, makes it 15. And as I said before, I've been the aggressor the entire day, and I like to control the pot, the action. So I decide to raise here, and I don't need to make it too big because if he has a king, he's not gonna fold pretty much to any bet. So I just wanna see where I'm at. So I make it 35, small blind gets out of the way, and the cutoff makes the call. So this kind of narrows his range a little bit. And even though he called, I still feel pretty comfortable playing against this opponent that I can bluff off turns and rivers depending on what they are, or just get lucky and hit a miracle 5 for 3 of a kind. The turn is a queen of hearts. So there's 3 hearts on board and we have the 5 of hearts. So we do have a backdoor flush draw. Very small one, but we do. And this card is kind of better for his pre-flop raising range than mine. But when he checks to me, we're going to continue our story and we bust out the greens. We throw in 3 and he folds pretty quickly. So he probably had maybe jacks, maybe 10s, maybe ace jack suited. Yeah. I really don't know, to be honest, because again, this player was pretty tight and haven't been playing much hands. But when he folds, I show the 5 of hearts just to keep everybody guessing. On to the next hand, we have queen 5 suited in the cutoff. There's 1 limp under the gun 2, and continue my aggressive image. I make it 15. Folds around to him, he calls. So heads up to a flop. The flop is queen 3 4 rainbow. He checks, and it's not really rocket science. I have the same card as the highest card on the board. So we continue, we make it 15. He calls. The turn is a 6 of spades, so brings the backdoor flush draw. But adding to our equity, we have open-ended straight draw now with our top pair. So when he checks, I make it 25. He calls again. The river is an offsuit ace, which is not really the best card because if he had the nut flush draw, he now got there with a pair beating us. And I really don't think I'm gonna get 3 streets of value with worse. So when he checks, I just check it back. I announce queen, and he flips over queen jack. So he outkicks me.
Hey, that ace saved me.
It was a long sweat, but we lasted 55 minutes, and we do get the $200 high hand bonus. So 2 blackbirds coming into our stack, and in perfect time too for this next hand because it's the highlight of this entire vlog. A lot goes on in this hand, so bear with me. I'll try to explain it all as best I can. It starts off like this. We look down at the best looking hand in poker, pocket aces. The under the gun 1 raises to 12. The guy next to act immediately 3 bets, but only min clicks it to 25. And this guy has exactly $113 in his stack, which will come into play as the hand goes on. Knowing he only has this much in his stack, I want to get it all, so I don't want to scare him away. I make it a very small raise. I bump it up to 65. Expecting everybody else just to fold around, but to my surprise, the small blind, who's actually a really good poker player, he's a Vegas local, got to chat with him after, and really cool guy. His name's Cameron, and he goes by Try Hard Poker. I'll leave his link to his Instagram in the description or somewhere on the screen. But you can just tell when somebody knows how to play. I mean, if you play with them for even 15, 20, 30 minutes, I mean, you can tell if somebody knows what they're doing or not. And this guy, yeah, he was a really good player. So when he makes the call, I glance over at his stack, which I'm now interested in, and he has a little over 300, maybe like 330, 340 behind. And another reason why I only made it 65 was not only to keep the under the gun 2 hands in, I didn't want to scare him off, but if anybody else was interested in the hand as well, if the under the gun 2 happened to jam, it reopened the action back to me so I could make it even more. So I can get as much money in as possible. Everything is going exactly as planned when the under the gun 2 does jam for the $113. I asked the dealer for a count, even though I know exactly how much he had because I'm sitting right next to him, so I have a clear view of his chips. So already I counted the exact amount he had. I take about 5 to 10 seconds while the dealer's counting out the chips, and I announce those 2 magical words, all in. As soon as I do this, Try Hard Poker is not happy. I'll play the audio for you guys so you can hear what's going on.
That's why I asked for a count. Oh God, there's $3 off. $3. I should ask for an exact count. There's $3 of them not being able to reopen that.
No, trust me.
No, I didn't hear it. I do now.
Alright.
He makes the call. Right away, we flip over our hand because we don't want to slow roll anybody. And the run out comes queen high. Not really liking the run out because there's a queen and a jack out there. So pocket queens, pocket jacks is definitely something that both these guys can have. And sure enough, Cameron in the small blind has just that, pocket jack. So he catches the 2 outer on the river for a big pot. And we just got those blackbird chips too, maybe about 10 minutes. And we're already giving them away. Bummer. And that one hurt, but I take the suck out on the chin. I mean, that's poker. What are you going to do? But we're moving on and hoping to bounce back. Nice hand. I want to talk about this hand a little bit more in depth because it was kind of a learning experience for me too. After this hand, I don't really talk to Cameron about the hand as much. I mean, a little bit back and forth. I actually run into him at the Resorts World a few days later. And we're going over, talking about hands, talking about poker, just random stuff. And our big hand that we play together comes up. And I tell him why I did what I did. I raised it the exact amount because I could clearly see the guy's chips to my right. And I was like, I didn't want to scare anybody off. I didn't want to scare him off. So I made it the sizing that I did. And as you heard, he said he should have asked for a count, an exact count. And I always thought that you're allowed to ask a player for their chip count in any situation, tournament, cash games. But he said that as long as you have a clear view of the player's chips, you can't really ask for a count. And this is something that I didn't know. So we asked a dealer at the Resorts World. We explained to her everything that happened, everything that was going on in the hand. And she actually clarifies for us, saying like in the rule book, as long as a player has a visual of a player's chips, they're not allowed to ask for an exact count. So by him sitting across the table, I mean, yes, he has a clear view, but didn't have as clear a view as I did sitting right next to the guy. So it was good getting some clarification on that. I mean, it was a learning experience, like I said, for me, and I'll know that for next time. So try hard, enjoy my chips, but no, I'm coming back for them. At this point, the table got a little more lively. A few more action players joined in and everyone talking, having a good time. Even though we're losing money, we're still having fun. This hand the table got a little riled up for. One guy rivers a royal flush and the other guy had 7-8 of hearts, which, I mean, there's a lot of red cards out there, but if a few different runouts would have came, could have been a straight flush being by a royal flush, bad bead. So that would have been kind of cool to see. I've never gotten a royal flush myself. Gotten straight flushes, numerous 4-of-a-kinds, but never a royal. That'd be kind of cool to capture a royal flush hand on the vlog one of these days. And if you guys have a royal flush story, let me know. I'd like to hear it. Even though the table is on the up and up, I don't really get involved too much after that big hand. And I'm getting a little hungry at this point. So we should decide to cut our losses and rack up. Oh, session is over. Those 2 hands, I cannot believe that. Did not go our way. Aces versus ace-king versus jacks. Get it all in pre and spikes the jack on the river. But I've been on the other end of it many times for a lot more. So pretty happy that it was only a 1-2 game. And yeah, that other hand, ace-king versus ace-queen, get it in pre, get it in good, and yeah, don't hold. So what are you gonna do? Gladly only down $500 in 3 hours. Played 3 hours, so not too bad. But just wanted to call it. It was kind of cool getting that high hand bonus for 200. So technically I lost 700, but I just added that 200 to the stack. So gonna get some food. Gonna take a little break, little walk, and probably head down to the Bellagio again. Play some 5-10, so a lot bigger, and hopefully things go our way.